So last week we started in the 13th chapter of First Corinthians, and we began the discussion on love. And I people make love a complex thing. It's really not complex, but people make it complex. I mean, you'll find that some people find it difficult to 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 love. I mean, whether they've been taught or whether they don't know better. I think what I think the complexities that surround itself concerning love is that people are not willing to love how they desire to be loved. You can't have this you can't have this standard of how you want people to treat you and love you, but you're not willing to do it with other people. Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever man soweth, yet that shall he also reap. Jesus Christ simplified it. He says, I'm just going to love in spite of, irregardless. Doesn't matter how you treat me, doesn't matter how you talk about me, doesn't matter how you are with me. Christ says, I'm going to love you. I say it all the time. You hear me say it all the time. I know it's redundant. Every question you have about life is answered in the cross. And when Jesus was being, we say crucified, I'm just going to go graphic, when he was being murdered, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I know some people say, well, I'm not there yet. But just say, for instance, you had to die for your child. And if you stopped dying, then your child would die. What do you do? I want you to think about the person you love the most. If someone says, if you don't let me murder you, I'm going to murder the person you love the most. And while I'm murdering you, if at any time you act like you want me to stop, I'm going to stop, but I'm going to murder them. What do you do? That's how much Jesus Christ loved us. That he did not stop from being murdered. That's how much he loved us. So how much do you love? It's a question that we need to ask ourselves. We need to examine ourselves. We need to come to grips with it. We need to, it's easy to say how you want someone to love you. But it's more difficult to conclude how you're willing to love. And you can be the best cook. You can be the best housekeeper. You can bring, for guys, you can bring all your money home. You could do all of that. But if you don't know how to treat a person, what have you accomplished? So we started here, I believe we started in the 4th verse. And the 4th verse says, charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself. It is not puffed up. We got down to verse 5. It says, does not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own. In other words, love is not all about itself. Love is not all about itself. So I started this Facebook thing, and man, I learned a lot about people on Facebook. I learned a lot about myself on Facebook. So I use Facebook to be an ambassador and to advertise Jesus Christ. That's what I want it for. That's all I want. That's all I want to do with it. I want people to actually see my Facebook page and see the love of God in me. Because here's what people don't understand. God see your Facebook page too. I'm just saying, he see what's going on too.
Yeah, you do.
Huh?
Oh, you do.
And I don't want, watch this now, I don't want when I stand before God, he's like, Paul, I was looking at this Facebook page and you don't have anything on there about me. But you say you love me. I see plenty on here about you.
Mm.
What you did, where you ate, who you was eating with, the city, the state, the time. Oh, there's even a picture of the food you had. But you didn't even say, look what God blessed me with. Love seeketh not its own. Love is not about itself. Love is not about itself. I get it. I totally understand it. How much my mom loved us. Because she went without that we have. She went without. I was wondering why, Jazz, when we went through her things, she had passed on. You know how you got to go through the people's personal belongings. She had all these, what they call dusters. Like house robes. That snap in the front. What you know about that, brother? Yeah. And I'm asking myself, why does she have all these dusters? And God told me they were cheaper than buying dresses and skirts. Mm-hmm. And that's what she would wear to lounge around the house because she was buying clothes for 4 children. Love seeketh, it's not about itself. It says in verse 5, it says, it is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil. I think that's where we left off at. It's not easily provoked. Now listen what it says now. It's not easily provoked, which means it's what? Provocable. It's provocable. So I ask this question. If you know that what you're doing is inciting violence or anger, do you have enough love to stop? If you see that what you're about to say is about to cause a problem, or what you're about to do is about to cause a problem, do you have enough love in your heart? Is there enough God in you to stop? Or are you this person? Oh, I just had to say that. Irregardless, do you know that it was going to cause a problem? Here is the biggest problem with communication. You have to know when to communicate. And if one of you are angry or frustrated when this communication is taking place, somebody needs to be quiet. Yes, ma'am.
Communication is also verbal and physical.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell somebody the way you stand, hold your body.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Yeah, so if someone tells you, I don't want to talk about it right now. We gonna get this out. No, they didn't told you they don't want to talk about it. Do you have enough love in you to let cooler heads prevail? But how many of you know that nothing good is accomplished out of anger? So the Bible says that a soft answer does what? Turns away wrath. So love is kind. I want you to think about those who had kind grandmothers. The grandmothers that would cook and feed the whole neighborhood. The grandmother that would feed the uncle that nobody in the family liked. Yeah, that grandmother. Because love is kind. When was the last time you did something nice for someone outside of your family. What about the guy you see, he's at the same block or you see him walking around and he's got a sound or he looks, okay, so when was the last time you actually went to a restaurant, whether it's fast food or not, and bought a value meal of some sort, and when you saw him, you just gave it to him? Or do you say, well, he's just scamming? Well, you don't know. Love is kind. Yeah, you would have never thought, and I testify this. Back in 2008, I was homeless in New Jersey. I didn't look homeless, but I was homeless. As a matter of fact, I probably was the best looking homeless guy ever. Y'all should have said amen, but y'all missed it. Amen. But no, what I'm trying to say is, you don't know the plight of a person. But if you listen, if you watch, I walked into a store. I used to walk into this restaurant and just sit down. And apparently the owner was paying attention that I would just come in there and sit. And one day he just brought me a meal. Love is kind. Love is kind. When's the last kind thing you did for a person outside of people you love? Because here's what Jesus says. Yeah. So what you do for people you love, heathens do the same. Love reaches out. And when you reverse it, guess what you've done? You've outreached. Love reaches out, and that's called outreach. Yeah, try to help someone that you know. And this is what love does. Jesus says, I'm going to come into my own's going to receive me not. In other words, I know that I'm not going to get anything back from the people I'm going to help. I'm not going to receive a thank you. They may not even appreciate it. But when Jesus Christ sees me, I want him to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of the Lord. Yeah, love is kind. Love is kind. I like the 6th verse. It says, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. And I'm going to go back to some things I see on Facebook. You can see the most outlandish, foolish things on Facebook. And Jazz, they got 1 million likes. Foolishness. People getting beat up and stomped and beat down. 1 million likes, thousands of comments. And then somebody have on there, did you thank God today? Because he loves you. You may see 3 or 4 likes, 1 comment. People are more apt to be intrigued about ignorance than intelligence. It blows my mind. Blows my mind. Here's the mindset of people. If a fight broke off on the north corner, everybody would run to see it. But if a man was preaching Jesus Christ on the south corner, he'd probably be there by himself. That's the state. That's where we are. But the Bible says, this is the Bible. I didn't put this in here. It says, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Another thing, it just blows my mind, and I'm glad I don't have to make my money this way. Joe, I couldn't do a reality show if the directors told me you got to be full of drama, because that's what captivates the audience. So just imagine if this was a reality show.
It wouldn't last.
It would last because of you, because sometimes you come in here and you be off the chain. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, but no, I'm saying, but that's what sells.
Yeah, drama.
That's what sells, drama. Yeah, they'll come in here and they'll say, they'll come in. I'm just telling you how this things go. Scales, Jazz, the producers